It's Carrie and Jim. This is the best trip ever. Find us on Twitter at the best trip ever. Also find Carrie at KARI at stellartravel.com. And we just got back from an AEP, an agent educational program on the Disney Wonder.
We were just invited to spend 4 nights on the Disney Wonder round trip out of San Diego for Halloween on the high seas.
Well, we haven't been on the ship since, I think, 6 years. But the first time we were on the ship was all the way back in the year 2000.
Correct. And we've been on it many, many times. So thinking that this ship has been out since 1998, we were a little hesitant, wondering if she was going to be tired because she's kind of been a short itinerary ship. She's been in Alaska every summer. And I'll tell you, she looks fantastic.
Well, that's the thing, is the Wonder was the first cruise I had ever been on. And when we first went on a cruise, we went on a short cruise because you weren't sure whether or not I would like it. And guess what? We loved it. And like you said, it'd been 6 years since we'd been on the Wonder. It had been 20 some odd years since our first trip on the Wonder. And 20 years, 20 plus years in cruising, that's eons. You can look on YouTube and see people that go on various ships that are older and they look tired. They look very dated. They look very 90s, very 80s, or very much a product of their era. And my fear of going on the Wonder is that so many of those wonderful memories would be wiped away if the ship didn't look good. And like you said, thankfully, it looked fantastic.
And the upgrades they have done have been wonderful. They've upgraded some of the theming on the restaurants. For example, Tiana's, that's a great restaurant. Previously, that had been kind of a Caribbean theme. Now they actually have live music during dinner. They have added things to the shows. I mean, they've just really enhanced what was already a fabulous product and made it even better.
And it's a testament to some of the design choices that they have made 20 some odd years ago. The lobby, the atrium, looks the same and it looks as stunning as ever. The rooms look virtually the same and they're fantastic. So many design choices have stood the test of time. And like you said, many of the modern improvements that today's cruiser expect, they're also there. And again, to Disney's credit, those improvements have made a good product even better.
And I think a lot of it's from when they really design their ships, they don't try to necessarily be all the bells and whistles, all the latest and greatest. Instead, they're really traditional. They like to take that classic steamship and the classic cruise liner and really enhance it with the Disney magic. And I feel like that's why these ships can be 20 years old and really stand the test of time.
It's timeless. The Disney Wonder is timeless. The carpet still looks great. The fixtures still look great. The wood is shiny and clean and not dated. It just still looks as great and as fresh as it did all the way back in the year 2000.
There's nothing better than stepping on a Disney ship and they say, "Welcome, Valley Family."
Valley family.
Kind of took the lobby, which was greatly decorated, and they had characters in costumes. So it really put you in the spirit by doing a late September sailing.
It was a lot of fun. They even did, because again, the Halloween theme, the movie Hocus Pocus 2 debuted on Disney Plus. And since it debuted on Disney Plus,
We debuted on the ship, and that's one of the great things about Disney. If there is a Disney product or Marvel product or anything in their umbrella that is premiering worldwide, even on a movie theater, it will also be premiering on the ship. So it was great. We watched Hocus Pocus 2 in the large theater one night, and then the next day we actually went to the movie theater and we watched the original Hocus Pocus. So it truly got us in the Halloween spirit.
it was a lot of fun. And you mentioned the characters. How many pictures did we take with Minnie Mouse in costume?
I would guess 3 to 4 at a minimum. And it's so great because unlike going to a park where you're waiting in line for 45 minutes and hope that your character's still there, you're there and you wait about 15 minutes and then they switch out the characters and you have a schedule of events. So you know who you're going to be seeing. So anytime we knew that Minnie was going to be out there, be it in a ball gown, a witch's costume, a pirate costume, I was there and waiting in line to get my picture taken with her.
And it's the same with all the characters. Mickey had costumes, Goofy had costumes, Donald had costumes. There were a lot of fun costume changes and characters on the ship.
Even the Sanderson sisters, they had them. So they had various characters, and they had the three of them in the main atrium for photos. And they even do a special one where you do actually pre book it on the app where they have a princess day. So all the princesses are out, and basically you can go through the line and have photos taken with each individual princess. So instead of trying to track them down, you could do anywhere from, I think it was 4 to 6 princesses that were out, and you went from one princess to another. And let me tell you, I've never seen so many little kids getting their photos and families dressed up because people, I'm sure, are working on their holiday card photos.
You know, in the lines, the characters are popular. However, the lines are nothing compared to the theme parks. So we saw those princesses spend a little extra time with a lot of the kids. A lot of magical moments and smiles on faces.
Autograph books, photos, and I'm sure that every one of those little girls or boys went home and went back to their cabin that night and kept talking about what a great time they had meeting with Tiana or Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty or Mulan. I mean, there's so many different princesses out there. I couldn't even keep track.
You mentioned Halloween on the High Seas. They had costumes, and we saw a lot of families dressed up in their costumes. There were some trick-or-treat spots around the ship. Tons of little kids in costumes and getting a little early trick-or-treating in.
Yeah, it was great. And I love how people are all in when it comes to themes on a Disney cruise. When it was Pirate Night, you saw families dressed from head to toe in their pirate gear. They had their Halloween costumes on and they were doing like family theme costumes. And the trick or treating, I mean, they delivered trick or treat bags to every cabin that had a child in it the night before so the kids could go to their trick or treat stations throughout the whole ship. And it was so fun because so much creativity on that ship with costumes.
You know, one of the cool things you also mention are the updates. For example, in 2000, we went to Animator's Palette, which was the big restaurant, the big reveal back in the year 2000. And technology has changed so much that the restaurant has adapted to technology.
Absolutely. And I love that they've kept the original, but then taken it up a notch. The same could be true with Palo. One of our very favorite restaurants on any cruise line anywhere in the world is the adult only dining on any of the Disney ships called Palo. It's an Italian restaurant. And we've spent many a special occasion there. So we hadn't been back for quite a few years because they are very coveted reservations. I was able to get one on the first night. That's your helpful hint. Always try for night one if you can, because that tends to be the best availability. And in the past, it's always been a price fixed menu of about $40 per person set menu. What they have done in the meantime is they've actually changed it. So they have a price fixed 3-course meal that is $45 per person, or you could also opt for a la carte. We went ahead and did the price fix and it was fantastic. And I'm so glad, even though there had been some changes on the menu, that they still have the chocolate souffle, which is to die for.
Still a lot of the same qualities that make Palo Palo.
Oh, high touch service, 2-hour dining approximately. And they even offer a brunch during the cruise as well. You can pretty much book one or the other. So this time we did the dinner since it was a special occasion. And we're so glad we did because it just brought back so many great memories of our honeymoon and different birthday trips and just all the things that we love and the special touches. And that still gave us options because Disney does rotational dining that we ate at all the other dining venues as well during our cruise.
Something else to keep in mind. Disney cruises are very popular. And not only that, you're going to be on board with a lot of other Disney fans. Many other people who are also very passionate about Disney. And that means get to the stores early.
We definitely did that, and I'm so glad we did. So, about 2 hours after sailing, when they get into international waters, the ship will open its gift shops, and they have two main shops on this particular ship with all their merchandise. We did all of our shopping on first night, thinking we were kind of crazy to do it, getting ornaments, and I got a special set of cruise ears and some other fun holiday gifts for people. But I'm really glad we did because 2 nights later, they were out. It's not like they have a big storage room where they can go backstage and keep restocking. When they're out, they're out. And I saw a lot of disappointed people that waited till the last night to shop when things were picked over and gone and limited sizes. So if you have your heart set on a set of ears, a spirit jersey, any item, if you see it, get it. And you also get discounts. So depending on what your level is with your status on the cruise line, whether you're an annual park pass holder, magic key holder, they'll ask you and you can get discounts. So keep that in mind as well. Even Chase Visa gives you discounts. So we did a lot of great shopping, and that also took the stress off because once we'd done it, we could go back and do, other add-ons, but we were really happy that we did it and got exactly what we wanted up front.
Yeah, keep in mind, you're not the only Disney fans who are going to be on board the ship. There wasn't a huge line, but there were definitely a number of people like us waiting to get in the stores when they opened.
And I'm glad we did because I sure love my new cruise ears.
We were second guessing ourselves.
We felt kind of silly waiting to watch the stores open like an old 80s commercial, but happy that we did.
Yeah, very happy that we did. Speaking of things that we remember, the shows. Disney shows have a high level, a great reputation for quality, and I'm glad to see the quality still exists, and they've even done some technological and other character upgrades.
Yeah, it was great to see. I will tell you, of all the cruising we do, we never go to the shows. None of the shows on any other cruise lines even are as half as good as Disney. But I'll tell you, we've never missed a show on Disney. I mean, we've seen Golden Mickeys more times than we can count. We've seen Disney Dreams multiple times, and we will never miss a show. And then there was even one more this time. We'd never seen the Frozen show because it's a relatively new one. And it was fantastic. It was a great combination of singing, acting, puppetry, technology, and I would see it again and again.
Yeah, they did a great job, even upgrading some of the special effects for Disney Dreams and Golden Mickey's, doing some new things that just goes to show that things constantly evolve on the Disney ships.
Absolutely. And they've even added things like going into the show, if you want to purchase popcorn, much like in the parks, you can actually purchase popcorn buckets or refillable cups that were decorative. They were Halloween snow globes. You could get Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas in a popcorn bucket. So Disney goes the extra mile when looking at extra merchandise options, even for the movies and the theater.
One of the things they've adapted since we were there, they've changed the kids' splash area.
Yeah, we've made it so it's more of a splash zone for the toddlers and the waddlers. They have the pool area and they have the Goofy pool area, but they also have a water slide on the Disney Wonder that adults can go down. And we were thinking that in the past that the adults weren't allowed, and we definitely went down the water slide this time.
It was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
It was a great time. And I would say it was probably the majority of adults there. I think one gentleman in front of there was, they were calling him Gramps because he was a grandfather and he kept going again and again.
He had a great attitude. He was a lot of fun.
Excellent attitude. Everything on that deck is just fantastic.
And the food options on the pool deck, a lot more things than you might expect. Not just burgers and hot dogs.
Yeah, and we almost made the mistake because in the past we've always liked to go and, grab a burger or give her a slice of pizza at Pinocchio's. But what we didn't realize until after we'd already ordered lunch someplace else, that Pete's Boiler Bites has a special window that had shawarma available. So we were able to get great gyros and they choose between 15 different toppings. So we had that for lunch one day. And then over at Daisy's Delights, they not only have sandwiches and salads and fruits and vegetables, they also have a bowl section. So for example, one day they had ramen bowls, make your own ramen bowls. So that was a nice alternative because after a while I get a little burned out on burgers and, kind of fast food style. So it was great to get healthy alternatives. And they were there really long hours. So it could be early lunch, it could be later in the afternoon. And then who can forget going to ice cream and getting soft serve each day in a different flavor? Helpful hint, banana was the best.
Very good banana. ice cream. Also, Cabanas, the buffet, still there, still high quality food at the buffet if you want to grab a quick lunch or breakfast or what have you. But when you get on board the ship, something we should mention is you don't necessarily have to go to the buffet if you don't want to.
Now, that was a really great surprise because in the past, we always tend to go to lunch because we've been traveling, and it's kind of chaotic when you head up to on any cruise line, the buffet. Everybody's arriving, everybody's scrambling for a seat. There are long lines, but they gave us the option. They said you can either go to Cabanas and go to the buffet, or you're welcome to go to Tiana's and do a sit down lunch. And that was wonderful. It was so peaceful, 3-course meal. And it was just a piece of serenity in there because you didn't feel like it was chaotic. You're getting table service, you were seated. It was great because you still have your carry-on items with you because your cabins aren't open yet to put them in. So I would highly recommend that unless you really want to go to the buffet, try going to one of the sit-down restaurants upon arrival because it'll get your cruise off to a fabulous start.
Especially since we had some bags with us. And it makes it easier. You don't have to manage your bags and your plate going through the buffet or leave it at a table if you're uncomfortable, things like that. It made it very easy.
Oh gosh, it was seamless. They gave us a table of seating for 4, and there was only 2 of us there. They weren't seating people together that weren't traveling together, and it was great. So we started out with great salads, had an entree, had a dessert, had iced tea, and it was so calm. And we were in no rush because we knew our cabin wasn't going to be ready until 2 p.m. And about 1:45, the bell dinged, and they said your cabins were open. We'd finished our lunch, and we headed on up.
One of the things that they've updated on the Wonder that sort of parallels the dream and the fantasy is the entertainment district. I love that the Cadillac Lounge is still there and still looks great.
And I love that they have the pub still there, and it's great. There's just so many wonderful things, and it's really separate from the kids. And that's always the best thing about it is that you can have your little sanctuary where you're not around children all the time if you wish. And that's the biggest question I get is why go on Disney if you're not traveling with children? Well, I'll tell you, it makes a difference because they really focus on what's important to adults. They have different locations for adults only. They have spa, they have pool, they'll have different evening events where children aren't allowed. And that's great because you can choose to travel with children or without because we don't have children and we've been on, I think this was our 8th Disney cruise.
That's one of the things that I was wondering because it's been a number of years since we've been on a Disney cruise. And I was wondering to myself, have we outgrown this? Have we gotten out of this? Are we, to be honest, are we tired of this? I had some real doubts going on this cruise, and I'm happy to say that I loved it. That the quality's still there, the level of service, everything that I love about Disney is still there.
The quality is still on point. And that is one thing that I think when people ask me about, well, why are they more expensive than, say, brand A or B? Well, you're paying for the quality. You know you're going to get quality service. You're going to get quality food and beverage, excellent entertainment, great outdoor spaces. And I really feel that they have the best staterooms at sea. With having those split bathrooms where you essentially have 2 bathrooms, it makes it great, especially when traveling with multiple people. If you have to get ready together, even something as silly as the height of the bed, they have the beds raised up higher so you can put your empty suitcase under there after you unpack. So they really take everything into consideration. And then all the movies that you get in your cabin, pretty much anything you could think of from old Disney classic animated to live action to the latest and greatest that's out there. You can watch them all in your cabin and they're all included. We've been on a cruise line recently where they were charging $11.95 for a pay-per-view movie in your room, and it wasn't even first run. Then we couldn't find anything to watch. There was nothing worthwhile to watch. And I think on this cruise, in the evening time before we went to bed, I think we ended up watching 7 movies throughout the trip.
Yeah, the cruise you're talking about literally had one random movie channel. And you turn it on and what's on? What random movie is this going to be? Is it going to be super old? Is it going to be from the 2000s? What is this movie? And anything current, remotely current, was $11.95. That just left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, why nickel and dime? I mean, Disney's got such a great portfolio, so why not take advantage of it? So there were quite a few movies that we haven't had time to see, and we worked our way down the list and saw and then repeated some of our fan favorites. But we kept saying it's the lack of nickel and diming. They don't charge for room service, as opposed to a lot of other cruise lines are starting to choose for room service. So if anything, we didn't take advantage of it enough because we were too busy doing things throughout our cruise.
And you did an interview on board.
I did. I did an interview. They wanted a testimonial for the DisneyTravelAgents.com website. So I did that, which was a heck of a lot of fun out on deck to meet with their professional team and get my take on things.
This particular cruise ship has been around since 1998. So that means there are kids who are now parents who went on the ship with their parents who are now taking their kids. The next generation of parents are now on this ship. And that's kind of amazing. We talked to a couple of them, and it's just incredible to think that we were on this ship in the year 2000 and it's held up beautifully.
Yeah, because what I usually find on a lot of these short cruises, kind of the turn and burns, those ships get beaten up quickly. You get a lot of partiers on board, you get weekenders, you get bachelorette parties, zero birthdays, people with spring break, grad trips. But you know, Disney takes such good care of its products. You would never know that they had been doing shorter itineraries in the wintertime and then the 7-night Alaska itinerary all summer.
There's sort of a trend right now for these big mega ships. And I gotta say, I love the size of the Disney Wonder.
I think that this is probably my favorite size. I've done the little ships of like under 500. And we most recently, a few weeks before this sailing, we were on a ship with 6,000 people. And I like the size of the Disney Wonder. It's less than 1,000 staterooms. It's just the perfect size. It doesn't take a long time to get there. You're not dealing with crowded elevators. There's plenty of them. Lots of dining venues. So you're not all trying to scramble to get to the same restaurant because it's already scheduled for you. This is the perfect size ship, in my opinion, for us.
Yeah, they manage everything really well. I'm happy to say that I still love the Disney Wonder and I look forward to sailing on it again. What about, we live here on the West Coast. This was a West Coast sailing.
This year and for 2022 into 2023, they are doing San Diego departures to Mexico. They'll have some shorter 4-nighters and then they'll have 7-night Mexican Rivieras. And that's great for people that maybe want to try coming off the West Coast and give Disney Cruise Line a try, but without having to fly all the way to Florida and spend an extra night. Or maybe you don't have time to do a 7-night, Alaska departure. And she's getting ready in 2024 to go to the South Pacific. And those sailings are going to sell quickly because they're just opening up, but they're going to have anywhere from, I think, like a 2 to 12-night sailings through Australia, New Zealand, and they're going to be very, very popular. So the ship's going to be given a little renovation before she goes out, but she's going to be very popular because she has such a loyal following, and maybe families and couples that have been thinking they want to go to Australia, New Zealand on a ship, not sure who they want to go on, they can rely on Disney quality.
Or if you're in Australia and want to get on a Disney ship without having to fly halfway across the world, the Disney Wonder will be a treat for you.
And they even have some 2-night sailings out of, I believe, New Zealand or Australia during that time period. So that's a fun kind of way to taste test your Disney Wonder.
It was a nice combination. We did the Disney Wonder, and then we went to Disneyland.
It was a great way of being able to do sea and land as opposed to having to go to Florida. So we did a great 4-night cruise. Then we just hopped on a transfer, went up to Anaheim, stayed across the street from the Disneyland Resort, and spent 3 full days at the parks and actually got to celebrate my birthday in Disneyland. And it was such a great getaway, and it never felt rushed, and the whole thing felt very seamless.
It was really nice. The Port of San Diego is a nice size, and it's fairly close to the airport, so it's not a long transfer at all. So that was easy. And then, like I said, it's not that bad of a drive to go up to Anaheim.
No, No, and you could even take Amtrak too. I mean, I think that was the original plan is we were supposed to take Amtrak, but then I think that the train tracks were down, so we ended up going by motor coach. But you could easily do a rental car if you wish, because again, the Port of San Diego is right downtown on the waterfront, so you could walk right out. And if you wanted to even come in a day earlier, there's a bunch of hotels within walking distance to the port, which is very rare. You definitely can't walk to the port of Miami or Fort Lauderdale.
So let's wrap up. We always do this with our three favorite things. I'll go first. I think I loved that the ship is still fresh and beautiful. That was probably my number one. I love that the shows are still great. And I love all the family activities and shows. Seeing all the families, like you mentioned, at the pirate party, having so much fun. So many people all dressed up. This crowd was into Pirate Night. And it was just fun to watch them sing and dance and go crazy with all the cast members on stage. That was a lot of fun.
My three favorite things. I am a sucker for fireworks, and Disney Cruise Line is the only cruise line that's allowed to do fireworks. So having the fireworks during the show, during Pirate Night, that would be my number one. All the character interactions, because again, when we're at the theme parks, I'm not going to wait in line and feel like I'm taking up the space of a small child that's dream is to get their picture taken with Minnie Mouse dressed as a witch. So all those photo opportunities. And I think number three is just knowing that the ship looks so beautiful. And when I hear the smokestack play When You Wish Upon a Star, I still get all tingly inside. So loving the Disney Wonder.
It has aged beautifully, and Disney's taken great care of it. So happy that we went on the Disney Wonder, and thank you to Disney.
Thank you so much for Disney for this opportunity of the AEP. And I look forward to going on more Disney cruises in the future. Need to check out the Disney Wish. We haven't been on that yet. And then coming in 2024, we've got the Disney Treasure, which looks like it's going to be phenomenal.
But keep in mind, if you're looking for a Disney vacation, Carrie has been to every Disney theme park in the world, to Disney World, countless times on a number of Disney cruises. So she is definitely a Disney expert. You can find out more. Follow her on Twitter at The Best Trip Ever, or how can they email you?
KARI@stellartravel.com.
I'm Jim. She's Carrie. We hope no matter where you go, you make it the best trip ever.